Welcome back to Melodic Memories of Light's Monarch. I'm Casey, and today I just wanted to kind of go over my trip to Taylor Swift. Now, currently, as you all are listening to this on Monday, I'm recording this a little bit ahead of schedule because, as I mentioned in my last episode, for those that didn't listen, I am actually going to be gone to Vancouver, or Swiftcouver as it's so aptly titled. I'm going to be over in Vancouver to see Taylor Swift. And currently should be, as you all are listening to this, on my way home. So I will be releasing an episode to come talking about my experience at Taylor Swift. But today I kind of wanted to just focus on her and her career and just kind of ramble on about some of my favorite things about her and my favorite things about the whole Eras tour, some random statements and such. Anyways, enough rambling on that. I also wanted to mention Spotify Wrapped. Spotify Wrapped, the Christmas for music lovers. It's out, at least by the time you're listening to this. It dropped December 4th, and you bet your ass I will be sharing what I got. It'll be on my socials already, so go check it out if you don't want to wait until next week. But I'll be going over it alongside my Taylor Swift trip. Jam-packed full of a lot of music, a lot of fun. And I'm actually very excited about it because last year, my number one artist was Taylor Swift. Because that's really when the huge kind of explosion for myself happened with her. Because over the last couple years, I went through some hard times. It was actually really shitty. A big breakup, huge change in life, and a lot of personal growth. And I can't lie, a lot of what helped me through it, music in general, yes, but Taylor Swift herself, really, I latched on to what she was saying in her songs, and they just helped me feel those feelings and find words for the feelings that I felt going through all of this. And I honestly don't know where I would be right now if I hadn't grown that attachment. I'm sure I would still be here. I'm not trying to be that dramatic, but I don't know exactly if I would be the same because I was not only getting over things, but I was also discovering myself and who I am. And I must say that Taylor Swift's, her music, helped me come to terms internally with not only just my lifestyle, but my sexuality and everything to do with me. And it wasn't just Taylor Swift. I'm not trying to say like, oh my God, she saved me, she changed me. Like, no, it was life on top of it all. But Taylor Swift was someone that I grew an attachment to. And she has been around for my whole life. Like, I do remember growing up on the school bus, way back in elementary school, where I would be riding to school on the school bus. There'd be 93.1 on the radio station on the bus, and 9 times out of 10 it'd be a Taylor Swift song. I know that is exaggerating to some extent, but she was, as stated by some lady in some interview, couldn't fucking tell you who, but I know this has been said, that Taylor Swift is the music industry, and that was back then. I would say that statement is even more critical and more true today. Now, say what you will about Taylor Swift, I do know that she's not for everyone. Some people just find her presence, her mere existence, some people find to be annoying. And I couldn't agree less. Because I personally think that everyone should be able to do what they want. And yeah, Taylor Swift has the spotlight on her all the time. But like, she's not hurting anyone. She's literally just trying to be herself and start a life with somebody now, at least. And I don't know, I think she gets a lot of shit for no reason when she is one of the more talented artists out there. Like, I'm not saying she has the most talent in the world, but you tell me, could you go out there as a listener, could you go out there and do all that she does for this 3-hour-long Eras Tour show that she ends up doing every night, like a full weekend, and then she takes the week off, yes, but she's back at it. The fact that this tour has went for almost 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, like 193 dates or something crazy like that, that is insane. She is a powerful woman, and anyone that tries to discredit her from that, I feel like needs to take a step off of their high horse and just kind of look at it for what it is rather than being jealous or anything else of the sorts. And I'm not trying to call anybody out. I just know that the internet seems to be very jealous of Taylor Swift in some sense. Like, it's either jealousy or just ignorance, because it bugs me when somebody goes to an artist and just shits on them just to shit on them. If you have a criticism with them, okay, I can understand that and I can get behind it because you give your point and you have facts to back up said point. And in that case, or even if it's just opinions like on an album, because music is subjective, but all the same, you have a case. It's not you just saying, wow, Taylor Swift fucking sucks, period. And if that's what you want to be, that's who you want to be, that's okay. Like, be a shitty person, because it is shitty. Regardless if it was Taylor Swift, would you say that about anyone else? And if that case is yes, then I guess that's who you are as a person. But you shouldn't try to bring somebody down just because they are either different, more successful than you, or just talented. Jealousy is one thing, but, Taylor Swift has actual talent and is probably the biggest artist of our entire generation. And I don't mean to, kiss the bottom of her heels here, but I do have to just kind of state that, because this whole episode might get shit on entirely, but I don't care. I am a Taylor Swift fan, and I know that there are a lot of Swifties out there, myself included, that will support her. And, if there is ever a day that she drops something that I don't like, I will speak my mind on that. I'm not going to be the person that's blindly liking everything, even though most often I end up liking most things that an artist drops just out of pure coincidence. But all the same, with Taylor Swift herself, she's always been in my life. I've never considered myself a Swiftie until just last year. But throughout my life, like on the school bus, she was there. I remember coming home. My stepbrother, Ty, shout out to him. I know he's not listening, but he had Taylor Swift's self-titled album on CD. And this was back when it came out. I want to say maybe a little bit after it came out, probably 2007. And it was the first time I ever got to hear Taylor Swift's album in full. I can't say I sat there and listened to all of it, but I know my brother did. So, and I can't say he's a Swiftie anymore. I think he might have just thought she was hot or something, because at the time, he was probably only 13, 14, and I was maybe 9. I can't remember the exact age range, but we were younger at the very, very least. Maybe he was 12, but regardless, he loved Taylor Swift, and I'm calling him out right now, because I'm sure if I went up to him and asked him right now, he would probably be one of the people that says fuck Taylor Swift. But I don't care. I don't care. And all for good reason. I guess I'm revealing it here on this podcast. I ended up stealing that CD that he showed me. And I'm not someone that steals. At least I would like to think I'm not. But I did steal the self-titled CD way back in the day. Back when he stopped caring about his CDs. He just kind of left them there. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Yoink. And put it in my truck. Because at the time, that's when I started driving. And since I seen it all those years later, I was like, fuck yes. Of course. It's Taylor Swift. And that kind of shows my relationship with her. She's always been around, and I've always respected her, the shit out of her. I never cared for her music entirely. To listen to a full album was never something I really did, except for the self-titled one, because country Taylor Swift, that's what I grew up on the radio station and with my brother, as I just mentioned. As the country Taylor Swift kind of just hit different. But as she moved her career on, it was still with Fearless. I remember hearing You Belong With Me all the time. I remember the music video for it. And one of the core memories that I have with that song is actually pure annoyance, because I was on the school bus every single day. I am not kidding either. I'm not exaggerating, not joking. Every day, my little sister and her 2 little friends, back, I don't even know what grade they were in, maybe grade 5, maybe younger, I can't remember exactly, but, and the album, the song, Fearless and You Belong With Me has been out for many years at this point, mind you, so I don't know what their fixation was with it, but they were blasting it on the school bus every day. And it got to the point where they stopped playing the song and all three of them were just singing it, like a cappella style. And I was like, what the fuck? Like at the time I was annoyed. Nowadays I probably would have joined in, not gonna lie. But at the time I was very much annoyed. And that was kind of the vibe that everyone got, was just somewhat of an annoyance. And I don't even think it was aimed at Taylor. I think if anything, the annoyance was more so just the fact that it was always in your face. And I think that's also more apparent now than ever, because she is literally everywhere. You talk about music, it's 9 times out of 10, I have to say, Taylor Swift gets brought up. And if she doesn't, it's because that person doesn't like her. And it's usually the case of that they're just sick of seeing her. Like, I was at the mall the other day because I work at Sunrise Records, and the lady that I was helping, first thing in the morning, I started the morning with the anthology for the Tortured Poets department, and yeah, she just instantly shit on her. It's like, I'm so sick of Taylor Swift. I wish that people would stop being so brainwashed, and she just kept going off. And I was like, well, I'm sorry to offend you by playing this music. I said something along those lines, and she was just like, oh, it surprised her. I don't know if she didn't notice that I was the one that chose the music and was also wearing a Tortured Poets cardigan, because that one is very nonchalant, not in your face, but it made me laugh. It made me fucking laugh, because what an ignorant person. Like, yeah, Taylor Swift doesn't have to be for you, but don't try to, like, what it felt like, what it came off as, was that she was trying to shit on Taylor Swift, slander her, if you will, and in the kind of way it came off was she was trying to get me in on it, to say something bad about her too. And she definitely came up to the wrong person, because I am not that person. I do love Taylor Swift. I love her music. I'm a Swiftie. I don't have to keep saying that. Obviously, you guys know by now, but it just made me laugh. And as I was saying, her music has been in my life, and it's just constantly been, it went from self-titled, Fearless, and then it went into Speak Now. I remember mine being on the radio for a little bit there. The one that is like core memory for me is Mean. That one. Oh my God, that song, Mean, off of Speak Now. That one is just so nostalgic for me, because actually all of Speak Now was. I remember when Speak Now, Taylor's version, dropped, and just like playing song after song after song, and me being like, holy fuck, I know all of these. How do I know all of these? I've never listened to this album before, except for like once. And that was like years ago. But it's still stuck. And that album itself is very much akin to the emo movement. Like, I'm not saying by any means Taylor Swift is emo music. The term that people kind of coined, it's a little cringy, kind of like Swiftcouver is, but it's called Swemo. Swifty, emo, Swemo, the marriage of the two. I'm not a fan of that term. It makes me just kind of cringe every time I say it and hear it. But I will have to say, if any album was to be Swemo, if you must, would be Speak Now. And it's beautiful because it came out a little bit after the emo movement, I believe. Like 2010, I want to say, the original non-Taylor's version. And it was kind of like the renaissance, or maybe not renaissance, that might not be the best word to use, but the resurgence of emo, like when Black Veil Brides was coming up, Pierce the Veil, like those kind of more screamier emo bands. So you can tell Taylor Swift, she kind of took some inspiration from what she would have heard growing up with emo music and through her career, like from, I want to say like 2005 to 2008. And that's kind of what the vibe was. And it makes sense because it came out after Fearless. Fearless dropped 2008. So with Speak Now, it was very much, not saying it was emo, again, not trying to paint that picture, because that would just be ridiculous. But it is the most, like, it's got some, like, vibes to it that are just, like, you can tell it had inspiration, especially in the guitar work, from that time of music. And that theory that I have is even more supported by the fact that Taylor's version of the record ended up having Hayley Williams of Paramore and Patrick Stump of Fall Out Boy on two different vault tracks of Speak Nows. And best vault tracks right now, I'm not even going to fight anybody on it. They're wrong if they think any of the other ones are better. Obviously, it's subjective. I'm joking. But I do love the fact that she was able to get these artists on her album, ones that she looks up to. And, like, going through the history of them, just, like, as friends, I definitely know that Hayley Williams and Taylor Swift, they were friends when Taylor moved down to Nashville. Hayley was living there as well. And I don't know, there is a story of how they actually met. I believe their moms kind of set them up together because they were both alone. Like, they didn't have any other family, they didn't have any other friends. So they became friends together. They were two girls at around the same age that were both doing the music thing. And it just kind of worked out that they were always, from then to now, supporting each other. And probably to the future to follow. Like, Paramore just got off the European Eras Tour, so of course they're supporters of Taylor Swift. Which I personally think is actually kind of cute and very sweet. Like, the fact that they've just always been supportive of each other, and I can't even lie, Hayley Williams is one of the reasons why I kind of dived deeper into Taylor Swift to begin with, because it must have been back in 2020 when Folklore came out, of all things. I remember seeing a tweet from her that was just kind of her going off about Hoax, the last song on Folklore, and I respect Hayley Williams so much and love Paramore so much that I was just instantly like, okay, I guess I'm listening to it. Never thought I'd be listening to a Taylor Swift record, but I'll listen to it. And now here we are. So, Hayley Williams, you are part of the reason as to why I am. That probably didn't come out right, but in any sense, for Patrick Stump, I do remember that there was a year right after, I want to Save Rock and Roll, so probably like 2013, 2014. There was a year at the Victoria's Secret model walk, if you will, fashion show, probably the proper word for it. Model walk, who the fuck am I? At that show, Fall Out Boy was playing, and Taylor Swift struts on stage in her own outfit and just goes. She sings for them. And I think that's one of the most iconic performances that she could have done with Fall Out Boy. And the fact that this many years later, almost, 10 years later? I think, yeah, almost exactly 10 years later, she ended up releasing Electric Touch with Fall Out Boy. And you can tell right out the gate that it is a Fall Out Boy song. I know it's a Taylor Swift song. I know that she wrote it. But you listen to the instruments, the drums, everything, like right from the beginning. And this is even reinstated by some fans that I personally know that are Swifties, said the exact same thing, that Electric Touch felt like a Fall Out Boy song. And it was weird seeing the album come out, because personally, I was saying time and time again, I would absolutely love, for a Fall Out Boy collab with Taylor Swift and a Paramore collab, because I know that they both respect each other as artists. They're both in the same kind of circle when it comes to it, because they perform together. And it made me hyped of like, come on, please. And I remember being out in Chicago when it was announced, the track list for Speak Now, and it had both of them. Like, it had both of them. Hello? Like, I know it wasn't Paramore for Castles Crumbling, but it was at least Hayley Williams, and I have to say she killed it. But out of the two songs, my favorite was Electric Touch. It's just one I related to more. But I do love Castles Crumbling for the simple fact that it is the other side of the coin for Long Live. And Long Live, my God, that song. That song is one that fans all over the world will cry to, because it's a love letter to her fans. Like, literally to us. And that's why, like, on the doors, I'd seen that they posted at BC Place in Vancouver, or a Swiftcouver, if you will, that they put the quote from Long Live on the door. And I guess those are the doors that you leave out of, or at least enter in. I'm not sure, but it makes sense. It's very fitting for the simple fact that this is the end of the tour. Now, obviously there's no telling where things will go for Taylor Swift. It's all up to speculation at this point. She hasn't said what she plans to do. She hasn't really mentioned anything for plans of the future, but we do have 2 re-recordings to wait for. Those are still nowhere to be found, and I have to say the Swifties are a little much when it comes to Rep TV. Just constantly breaking down like, oh, every little fucking thing. Like, I know Taylor Swift is a mastermind and she hides Easter eggs in her shit, but it doesn't mean that everything is going to be an Easter egg. Like, sure, some things might be and some things might not be, obviously, but it's tiring seeing time and time again, every single day, the exact same post. This is like, quote unquote, this is why Taylor Swift is dropping Rep TV today. This is why Taylor Swift is dropping Rep TV tomorrow. This is like every day there is at least, I want to say at least one post, probably more like 1,000 that say something to that extent. And it's not just posts either. It's literal blogs, actual articles. And I know it's an easy way to get clicks. I understand. You want to get clicks on your website. You want to have people traffic, obviously. You get money, right? But that's not the right way of going about it. Like, when it's not there, why try to pretend it is? I think Swifties as a whole, speaking for myself and the whole fan base, we need to be a little bit more patient. Just let the girl do what she wants to do, release it in the way she wants to release it. Play the game, of course, because that is something that Swifties have with Taylor Swift. It's like a game at this point, and I understand that, and I respect that, but maybe respect her a little bit more, and just be a little more patient. Because I know that some people go on and on about the whole Rep TV and debut, and it's like, yeah, we will get them when we get them. And I know I'm just a little jaded from seeing it all the time, because Twitter shows me a lot of Taylor Swift stuff, or TikTok does, but regardless, it's there, and I just kind of wanted to put my 2 cents on it, regardless if anyone wanted to hear it. But in saying all of that, all of those rambles, Taylor Swift has been with me through my whole life in different moments, different ways. I remember after Speak Now being Red, and her kind of taking over the world with the song Red. And not only that, but before that, I remember when Red dropped, or at least the first single, because the music video came out. And it was around the time when I actually got into watching MTV and Much Music. I know I'm dating myself, thank you very much. It was the music video for I Knew You Were Trouble, and the one that got memed and the goat meme and everything, ha ha ha. But that whole time, I remember seeing it, and I remember watching it with my mom, because she was at home at the time, just living room TV, and she glanced over at the TV, and whoa, Taylor Swift, she must be going through something. She dyed her hair. And it was before, like, that was the first time my mom ever seen her like that, and I think the whole world, because you could tell she was hurt. She was trying something new as well. Like, she was growing as an artist and transitioning into something new, because she had literal dyed hair. I think they were just the tips, but all the same. It was something new, something different, and it reflected in the song itself. Like, I know Red is still considered a country, quote-unquote, album. I would more so say it's like a country pop, but most of her songs were kind of country pop. Like, I know not Debut or Fearless, but even with, like, Speak Now, it kind of was moving into that direction. It could have either moved into the direction of pop, or I want to say more so like alternative, and she went the pop route. It would have been really interesting to see an alternate reality where there was such thing as an alternative Taylor Swift. I think that would be hilarious. But her music, you listen to her lyrics, they would fit well in alternative songs. And that's why a lot of covers that people do for Taylor Swift are in rock and roll music or in the alternative genre. Like, it just goes hand in hand. And I honestly have to say it's because Taylor Swift herself might be a little bit of a repressed emo. Which, if that's the case, welcome to the club. But to go on to Red, like the song itself, I remember that even being sung at our talent show. because we had a talent show at this agricultural fair, and it's something that happens every year down in my hometown. But every girl, I think every girl but one of them, and there was probably 4 or 5 of them, sang the same song, and it was all Red. Every girl did it. And I was like, okay. Like at the time I didn't understand because I didn't care. I didn't like the song at the time, which I definitely like it now, but at the time I didn't. And I didn't understand why people were so crazy about it. And then right after that, like, well, not right after, but the next album to come from that was 1989. And that one, I don't even need to touch on it, but I remember Shake It Off dropping. Same kind of deal with I Knew You Were Trouble. I seen the music video for it. Fell in love with that song because I know a lot of people thought it was annoying, but I just thought it was so intoxicating. It had a dancey beat. It felt good to just, like, obviously, I'm a weirdo to some extent. I'm not going to hide that. I'm not going to deny it. And it just felt nice to have that song to be like, shake it off. Literally. I know most people just roll their eyes at the thought of it, and especially that song of all songs. But it's one that I can say I respected quite a lot, and even when it was overplayed, I'd never mind. I could never mind, honestly. And then after that was Reputation. Obviously, Reputation, she took a bit of a break, but I remember when Rep started like getting announced that the internet broke for a little bit because Look What You Made Me Do was the single that dropped. And I remember when that dropped. At the time, I hadn't heard of Taylor Swift for a while, and I'm like, wow, she's way different. What the fuck is this? Is this even music? Because it caught me so off guard to the point where I remember not only the internet saying it, but I agreed, was that it sounded like human music from Rick and Morty. Like, I don't know why people thought that. Listening to it now, it definitely doesn't. But it does have the same kind of like empty vibe to it. Like, just from sonically, like there's nothing going on except for her voice. For the most part, I know the whole album as a whole, Reputation, is like God sent to the Swifties. Like it's like a trophy, the biggest trophy she has. Like I have to say Reputation gets the most love out of all of her albums, and usually people go crazy for Reputation. And I will say, from growing up and actually listening to it, it is a fire album. The production, first and foremost. Holy shit. Some of those songs deserve recognition. Like, not even lying, not even trying to be a biased person either. I remember seeing someone on TikTok, he would go over a bunch of her songs, and he wasn't a Swiftie. He was just doing it to do it. And he would take recommendations, and one of the ones that he did, I believe, was Delicate. I believe, and it blew him away. He was like, holy fuck. Like, how can a song be produced so perfectly, and not only the production, but the delivery? Like, Reputation deserves all of the praise it gets, I have to say. And then after Reputation, obviously you got Lover. And Lover is an album that, personally, I do enjoy quite a lot. At the time, I did have it attached to someone because I was dating someone that was a huge Swiftie. And now I have a love for it all my own, and it has come out from herself that Lover was not the love album that she kind of painted it as. And when you listen to it, you can hear it. You can hear that there was a lot of anxiety and a lot of toxic kind of traits to this love affair that she is writing about. And it's sad to kind of think that it was just not meant to be. But sometimes shit like that happens. And obviously after that one's Folklore, Evermore, and the story goes on to Midnights and her re-recordings, and then obviously Tortured Poets. Sorry if I missed any. I don't think I did. I'm not reading off a list, so hopefully I didn't. But I will have to say, all of her albums I love, and around 2020 is really when I started listening to Taylor Swift myself. It was only Folklore, but then I went through all my shit, fell in love with Red, and because obviously that's her saddest album, I would have to say. And just, yeah, from that point on, went album by album by album and made my playlist, which is like over 13 hours long on Spotify, T.S. Taylor's version, and I adore her. I adore her music and the fact that she stands up for what she believes in, regardless if it's what I believe as well. Like, it doesn't matter. She's someone that has integrity, and I know she's a famous person. She gets shit on a lot. And I'm not even like talking about her just for clout. I'm just talking about her because I do enjoy her and can say I love her music. It just, all these things build up and make me so excited. The fact that I'm actually going to be able to go see her. And I'm sorry to all the people listening that can't and or couldn't because of the price of tickets. I was one of the lucky ones to actually get the code itself and able to go see her because I just won the Swift lottery, if you will. Like, I don't know why, but I got a code for Toronto originally, bought tickets for Toronto originally, sold said tickets, not for scalper prices. I'm not that kind of person. I stuck true to my word. I just sold them for what I paid. Some people are going to hear that and think I'm a fucking idiot, but the people I knew the people I was selling them to, and I'm not going to fuck over my friends. And the most I would have done would raise the price maybe like $200. Regardless, that's still kind of shitty. I don't like the whole scalper thing. I try not to be a part of that most as I can. Regardless, though, the person I'm going with has been in my life for a while. They are my ex-girlfriend. I know, red flags everywhere, but just to kind of get the context in there, that's why I say that. Her and I are on good terms. We are friends, and we made the promise to each other when we were together, regardless of if we are together still. If Taylor Swift goes on tour, we have to go together, because her and I just kind of got it. And lo and behold, she goes on tour, eventually announces Canadian dates, and here we are. The time has finally come. And I bought these tickets a year ago, I want to say, for Toronto, and then less time for Vancouver. But all the same, it's been a long time coming. And I mean that with every pun. Every pun I can say. It has been a long time coming. And I'm very excited to go and see it with my friend Montana. Shout out to her. I don't think she's listening either, but gonna go see it with her, enjoy the moments, and honestly, I would have been fine going alone. There's many people I could have went with now that I think about it, now that my circle has grown. But all in all, I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be not focusing on her, not focusing on any of the crowd. My focus is going to be on Miss Taylor Swift herself and her entire performance. The show. I am so excited. And I know that it's going to be one of the biggest shows that I will ever get to see. It might not be my favorite show ever. That is yet to be seen. I'm not that biased. But I do know that it's going to be one of the biggest ones of all time. It is the biggest tour of all time. She's like the biggest artist of all time. Like, I know maybe not completely yet, but odds are she's just going up. Like, unless if she really does something bad amongst everyone in the world, there's always going to be support for her. And I feel like regardless of where she goes after this Eras tour, because Vancouver is the last date, I'm intrigued. I want to see her grow. I want to see her build that life be it with Travis Kelce or without. Doesn't matter. I want to see her live the life that she wants to. And I feel like she has taken enough time to make said music that she deserves a break. And I know she's a mad woman. She's crazy in the best way. So I don't think she's ever going to be done making music. But I hope she gives herself some time to take a break and just focus on herself for a little bit. And if in that time she ends up making a new album, cool. But try to just kind of focus in and enjoy life as one always wants to, instead of being so busy all the time. That's just my 2 cents on it anyways. And again, I'm very excited to go. I hope that everyone enjoyed my rambles, and I will have my next episode out on Monday, and I will be talking about the Taylor Swift trip itself, and Montana will be here with me. If not on the podcast with me, I'll at least have some notes written by her that is just from her perspective to kind of give not just my biased sense on it, someone that has been a Swiftie for life, and that's kind of another reason as to why we're going together. But all the same, I'm excited to go with a good friend, someone that I can understand on that level personally, and just enjoy it to the full extent of being somewhere, not only a new place that I've never been, but an artist that I've never been able to see and fell in love with and helped me get through said breakup with that person. And it's just going to be very cathartic, a very closing of doors kind of visit, kind of trip and all. And I'm very excited. So, wish me luck. I'll be on my way home by the time everyone's listening to this. So, I've been Lights Monarch, and thank you for discovering the music within.